Hey guys, and welcome to Fireborn Radio, the UK-based Destiny podcast about anything and everything relating to the Destiny universe and gaming. Episode 29 is upon us, and it's the first podcast as a married man. So, interesting. We'll talk more about that later, I assume, and Alex's rapping skills. So, that brings me on to obviously the first person that's with me. Yeah, exactly. Alex, hey Al, thanks for coming on again. What have you been playing this week?
Hi Jay, right Finn, congratulations again on the wedding. But yeah, what have I been playing? I've been playing The Witcher. I finally finished The Witcher.
Hey.
In fact, did I say that last week? I think just because it was a huge milestone. But I
think
finish.
You said every time you keep thinking you finished it, there's always something else.
No, I did actually finish the main quest. I have actually finished it. But then I've started the DLC.
How many hours is that? How many hours is that?
I don't know. I don't know how long it
actually
took.
If you had to fathom a guess, what would you say?
I would say 60. I've been going back and doing some of the side quests now, because when you finish the game, without spoiling it, you're still in the game. Like, it doesn't just stop and you have to start again. So you're still there and you can still do some of the side quests and a Witcher contract. So I've been doing them. I started the DLC, which is actually really good. I've started the smaller DLC, which I believe is Hearts of Stone or Hearts and something like that. So yeah, that's been really good. That's started off. Have you played that, Finn? The DLC, The Witcher 3.
I've not got the DLC. I've just played the base game. I'll get it at some point now.
Yeah, it was good. And we were playing some Destiny, some Iron Banner, which we'll talk about.
Okay. Well, as Alex alluded to, we are joined again by our newest member of the Fireborn, I wouldn't say clan, but family. Finn, welcome back again. Thank you for, I put a little bit of pressure on you last week, saying you were coming on more. So thanks for actually, coming on.
You led me to believe it was legally binding. That's the only reason I'm here.
I'm not going to let that down. And well, again, welcome back to the show. And what have you been playing?
Cheers and congratulations to you again for the wedding on Saturday, Jay. So this week I played some Iron Banner, which went pretty well. I've done one Trials card, I think. Got to 7 wins on that, and then we'd lost a couple of games, so just threw it away. And I've also continued trying not to be bad at Overwatch, which is...
How's that going?
Well, I'd like to think I was less bad, but still a long way from being good at it. So yeah, that's it really.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I have quite liked Iron Banner Clash. I find that because it doesn't require as much teamwork and coordination, there's less games where you get absolutely destroyed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If the other team's a bit stronger, you can still have a good game even if you lose. So yeah. I quite like that with Iron Banner Clash.
Yeah, I do quite enjoy Iron Banner coming back again. So especially Clash. Clash is, I'd say, my favourite game mode for Iron Banner, because although I do quite enjoy Control, because just for me it's a classic. But what have I been playing? Well, I got married to playing real life, I suppose, at some point. It was I took my Nintendo Wii actually to the venue, and there was too much to do. I didn't get a chance to get it out and play that the morning of the wedding. I ended up just...
That was ambitious, Jay. Thinking that you'd be able to get some gaming in during your wedding.
I tried my best. There was just so much to do, and when we started on the Friday night, and Alex came and gave a hand. Within 30 seconds, Alex had already broken one of the vases, and then went, right, it's time to hit the dusty old track, and then left. But he was there in the morning, and Alex was awesome, and it was really good. It was really good, and it's nothing has changed apart from I'm now, I think, a considerable amount down money wise. So, but no, it's good. Wife is doing well. So, what have I been playing though? Well, yeah, I did play some Iron Banner. I played with you guys for a couple nights in the trot. It was really good. Really, really enjoyed playing Iron Banner. The loot, not so much. I mean, I didn't really enjoy the kind of the guns they had on offer. They had obviously the rocket launcher and the sidearm. Gave both of them a shout. The rocket launcher isn't too bad, but the sidearm, after using Trespasser, I just could not use any other sidearm. So that's more me than the actual sidearm itself. But it's just, why would you? Why would you? What else have I been playing? I think that's it actually. I did buy a game today.
Oh.
Dun dun dun. There's it's like a flash sale on the PSN, and I got Sleeping Dogs, the definitive edition for $3.99.
Oh wow!
Exactly. I was on
Nice.
this morning. Yeah, I was on this morning, and I was like, "Oh, what's new?" You know, the January
Richard
sale
and
is
Judy?
finished. No, it's actually Philip Schofield and Hollow Willowbooby now.
Oh yeah.
And Judy was a long time ago. That was a really outdated reference. So yeah, $3.99 for Sleeping Dogs, and I remember it's a Square Enix game. I think 2014 is when it got re-released, is it, or the definitive edition for PlayStation 4? I never finished it. Surprise, surprise. But I really enjoyed it, and I thought for $3.99 you can't complain. It comes with all the DLCs. So yeah, and I started playing that this morning. That was quite fun. Played a bit of FIFA because I had some friends over. So FIFA's just a good game to get out and just play when you want to kill stuff. You want to kill each other. I think when you kill each other,
you're getting a lot of sending off there, actually. A lot of sending off. That's another kill. Red card.
But yeah, it was so that was it really. But before we kind of start the actual podcast, I just want to say a massive thank you to someone out there, Sentinel Dad, who is a member of the Sundowners gaming clan. I think he was our first ever guest on the podcast. He basically sent over a wedding gift to myself and my wife, which is incredible. It just shows how amazing the people out there are in this community. So I just want to say a massive thank you first and foremost to Alex. You've been incredible friend. And let's continue killing stuff on Titans, of course, on Titans. So, okay, so moving on from the Titan love, we're going to talk about some gaming news. So, has anyone got any particular gaming news they want to talk about?
Well, I've got just like snippets of gaming news. I don't want to talk too much in depth. So it's just more things that are happening with the Switch, really. Well, mostly Zelda, because there's been a leak of Zelda. Now, it's not spoilers or anything, but I don't know if you'd watched the stream. There was a point in which, because in the Master Edition or in the Special Edition you get a map, and some people dissected the map, and it turns out that and according to the game guide as well, which has since been taken down off Amazon, and there's a number on how many side quests and mini dungeons. So if you don't want to know how many side quests and mini dungeons there are, then I would go ahead and skip this bit. But it's not much of a spoiler. All it is that, unless you don't want to know, Jamie, but I didn't.
No, go for it.
There's 76 side quests and 120 mini dungeons. So that is pretty big. I don't know if mini dungeons are all you get, or you get like the properly big major dungeons like you do in normal Zelda games. But if I've seen some footage of these mini dungeons in footage, for want of a better word. And it seems to me that on average, from say the harder ones ranging to the easy ones, I'd say give it about half an hour for a mini dungeon to complete. I mean, I'm just pulling that number out of thin air, but I'm guessing that maybe about half an hour. So if you say there's 120 mini dungeons, that's 60 hours of gameplay just being in the mini dungeons. Doesn't take into account traveling, going around the world, or even the side quests, with which there's 76, and who knows how long it takes to do the side quests. So it's a big game.
So Al, I've not seen any of the mini dungeon footage, but are we thinking like Skyrim, sort of going into a cave kind of thing?
I didn't play Skyrim, but if you can imagine a huge room with a puzzle in and a few puzzles, like I know, like classic kind of Tomb Raider puzzles almost, like cogs twirling, and you have to do this.
Some enemies thrown in here and there, yeah.
Maybe. I'm not sure. I can't remember if I saw enemies, but they're mostly you have an item, and you use that item to, like, there's a magnet, like a big magnet basically, and you use that magnet to move blocks at a distance, and you can stack the blocks, and you can do this and that, and I think that's one of the puzzles. I mean they haven't released all of them, but there's things like that where you have to basically get to the center of the stage or open up a chest in the middle, something like that. So I don't know how. I mean, I'm guessing it's similar to Skyrim. That's just a guess. I can't really think. I mean, because Witcher didn't have any things like that, did it? But the side quests in Witcher are huge. So usually the side quests in Zelda's weren't that big in the past, but I don't know, in the new one maybe it's different.
It sounds a lot bigger than previous Zelda games.
Oh yeah, I mean I'm kind of
bigger.
Yeah. I mean, have you seen the mini dungeons, Jay?
I've not. No. I'm trying to keep kind of relatively blind about it, so that I kind of
there's like they call them shrines basically, and you go in the shrine and everything's neon and like dark and with neon lights, and it looks really really cool. So the 120 of them, which is pretty good. The other thing that I just wanted to say was a few more Switch games announced for launch. Is I Am Setsuna, which is a JRPG by Square Enix, which is a pretty good game. It's already out on PS4, I think. And there's Binding of Isaac, which is already out on PS4 as well. And what was the other one that you said, Finn, before? There's another
Lego Worlds.
Lego Worlds.
I think it comes out in Feb on PS4 and Xbox One, and then they've said it's also going to come out on Switch. So I don't know if that's going to be a launch or soon after launch title, but it's like Minecraft but in the Lego world.
I think
I think it could be popular. I think it could be very popular.
I think that's a big score for Nintendo actually, because Minecraft is huge. The Lego games are pretty big as well. So and obviously Skyland is that kind of genre. So I think that could be that's a big score for Nintendo. I mean, I wouldn't get it myself, but there are Nintendo is usually aimed at kids, so they probably would go for that. To be honest,
yeah, it fits.
One more thing, just quickly back to Zelda. They've announced that there's an alternative ending in Zelda. I don't know if a la like Dark Souls kind of alternative endings where it said that you have to meet a certain criteria. So I don't know if you have to follow like a side quest or how you unlock this alternative ending. But Zelda games haven't had alternative endings. They usually just have something.
It's quite a new thing, isn't it? So it's usually just quite linear. I am quite excited for Breath of the Wild. I think all the kind of elements that you said, and also that they're really trying to push Zelda, especially with Dark Souls has been a massive hit from Software, and then you've also got Skyrim and Elder Scrolls. Those kind of things have been a massive hit for that, and obviously Zelda's always going to be Zelda, and people are always going to love it. But I think they need to also develop it as well, so it stops getting a bit stale.
I mean, I think Nintendo have looked at actually other franchises and started learning from which they haven't done previously. Usually they just do their own thing, and they're like, no, Skyrim's doing it like this. Let's do it more like this because it actually works a bit better. And so I think they're actually looking at other games, which is fine. Stand on the shoulders of giants. Is that what the saying is? So which is totally fine. It's not copying if they just take a piece of a mechanic or something that's been done well in another game and implement it in their game, hopefully better or in the same way. So yeah, I'm really looking for. And that trailer was awesome at the Switch presentation. So much awesomeness. The cities, it was epic. Did you see that big like Colossus thing? Have you watched the trailer?
No. Again, I've stayed pretty. I stay pretty. Yeah.
Voice acting. There's characters, returning characters that maybe I don't want to spoil for you. But yeah, I mean, just watch the trailer. I mean, it doesn't spoil anything. It's just a trailer. But yeah, returning races and things. So yeah, it looks good.
So yeah, I think we can all gather from that Alex is relatively excited for Breath of the Wild.
We'll be all right.
On the Switch as well. No more, no less. Have you decided
you're definitely going to buy it? Yeah, you definitely buy it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You are. Are you the converted?
I'm definitely getting it on the Switch. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So all that hours and hours and hours of arguing and typing last week, it's all in vain because you are getting it. So.
Well, no, it wasn't in vain because you convinced me.
Oh well, did something right, obviously. Finn, are you still a bit dubious about it? Are you still waiting until there's a bit more of a release schedule and a lot more out there?
As I said, I'm not excited enough about Zelda yet that I would consider dropping all the money on release to get it. So I'm quite happy to wait, see how it works out.
Well,
and then if in 6 months it's not worked out and Alex is selling his, then I'll give him a tenner for it.
Could be a thing. Okay, Finn, have you got any news this week that you want to talk?
So I saw a weird bit of news that they've released another Pokemon game on mobile today called Pokemon Duel, which is like a board game.
Okay.
I don't know much about it because they didn't do any kind of pre-release information or whatever. They just kind of went, "Look, it's here, go for it." So I was just having a look to see if anything had been happening before we started the podcast. And there's another Pokemon game out of nowhere.
All right, okay. So is that an iOS? You said, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Because I think the Nintendo
Android as well.
Android as well. Sorry for everyone out there on Android. Yeah, I feel now is that obviously Nintendo will have to have a hand in that, but obviously it's it is not Nintendo's game. Actually, it's the Pokemon Company's game, I believe, in Game Freak. Obviously Nintendo. Do they own the rights to it? Do we know? Or
I don't know. It's just popped up. I don't know.
Well, yeah, Nintendo still owned the rights to. I mean, obviously, no. I mean, they're still. I don't know. They must be connected. It's Pokemon, and Pokemon is a Nintendo franchise. I mean, obviously, it's on iPhone, but isn't. I don't really know how it works.
Well, that's what I was saying. So we're not sure, but I know that Nintendo. I know Nintendo themselves are trying to push a bit more onto the mobile platform. I believe there's a new game coming out. I believe this year, a Fire Emblem game, is it?
Yeah, yes.
On iOS. So Nintendo are really good. Trying. There's Animal Crossing as well. Is that due to come out?
It's not been announced, but it's apparently.
It's not been announced. Is it apparently is?
Well, actually, no. They did announce that it was. Sorry, no. They did announce that it was Animal Crossing, but it's not been. Like
no release date or window yet.
Yeah,
no, that's fine then. Yeah, so Nintendo are obviously pushing that quite a lot. I mean, any games you'd like particular, to kind of be on
Pikmin,
be on the iOS.
I think Pikmin would work really well. On
that's a good shout. That's actually not a bad shout. That I think the old school 2D Zeldas would do well, and Mario Run was quite good. And I know, but they're really trying to kind of push. I think they're trying to push more kind of new ones rather than the old kind of like a rehashes, etc. Trying to push new, not IPs but new games. So
to make a new Zelda with like controls that work for the iPhone, so not just having like on-screen buttons, like some games have, and they just have like an on-screen D-pad almost. They wouldn't do that like how they did with Mario Run. They'll optimize it for the controls. So yeah, I'd have a Zelda game, or I'd have any of the main franchises. I'd have Metroid. I'd have anything really, not Tamagotchi Life or whatever it's called, Tamagotchi or that whatever the Nintendo franchise thingy.
I think it makes sense for Nintendo to do it. There's a lot of money to be made on mobile games. Personally, I think the last game I played on my phone was maybe Snake 2.
Right.
That's going back
on my Nokia 3230 or whatever it was.
That was a long time ago.
And now I already get through my battery by dinner time, so I don't need to put games in it as well. I'm already running out of battery, so I'm not their target market. But there's a lot of money to be made. I think they could do quite well in getting people from being a mobile gamer that plays Nintendo games to thinking I'd like the high definition version, and people might then go and buy a Switch or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay. There was a bit of news I saw. Firstly, just before I logged on to play, before I logged on to download Sleeping Dogs and also come on to the podcast, I got an email from Ubisoft. I've been invited to the closed beta for Honor. Have any of you guys seen that or been invited?
For Honor, yeah, actually,
I'm downloading it now. So
I've
not tried it yet.
Yeah, I've got the beta as well.
Quite good. It looks quite good.
It does. I mean, I'll try. It's from the 26th to the 30th, isn't it?
30th, yeah. So not too long actually. But I mean, it's just kind of basically you've got three factions? So knights, Vikings, and samurais, and different armor styles and different. I think it looks like. A bit like I don't know. It looks a bit odd, really, but I'm looking forward to it. I always thought when I first saw it originally, it looked a bit something like Dynasty Warriors. It looks like maybe Dynasty Warriors fused with.
There's a few PC games which have had similar ideas, where you'd be like running around as a knight and slashing at people with a sword or horseback or whatever.
Yeah,
it's been more of a PC thing. So I'll be interested to see how they convert it over to console, and whether they can more though, aren't they? And whether they can balance it. Because my fear would be that it turns out there's some really lame combination of buttons you can do, like block, execute, or whatever, and there'll be something that would be really annoying, and everyone just run around doing that. So I think that'll be the hardest thing, is to balance it into a fluid fighting game where you don't just get killed the same time every time, the same way every time. That's
it, yeah. I mean, I will be checking that out. I believe, like Alex said, the beta is from the 26th of Thursday 26th to Monday 30th. So this weekend, if I get any chance, I will try and jump into that. So we'll let you know next week, hopefully. But yeah, I think the actual game itself is out in the 14th. So happy Valentine's Day to myself, from myself. Which is, it's a bit odd, really, kind of, the closed beta to only give yourself 2 weeks then for any fine tuning. I think that's quite tight, but we'll have to wait and see. You never know, really. That's the main thing.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't actually planning on buying it, but if the beta is really, really fun, I mean, I always was planning on buying Destiny, but more so since I played the beta, it was more of, even with Destiny, actually, to be fair, I wasn't like, yeah, I'm getting it because it's going to be the best thing ever, like with Zelda. Obviously now anything that Destiny comes out, I'm all over it, but at the time, the beta actually was very helpful in influencing my decision to buy it. So maybe with For Honor, I will, it will prove to be actually a really good game, because there aren't that many kind of PvP games such as For Honor. Obviously, you've got Overwatch, you've got Destiny, you've got Battleborn. You've got so many different games: Call of Duty, Battlefront, Battlefield. All these PvP games, like competitive games, are all shooters. So For Honor is a bit different. So I'm looking forward to playing a different kind of competitive game.
I think, Jay, on your point about how close it is to release, I wonder whether they don't really need this beta as a beta test. Like, they might use a bit of the information.
Yeah, it's just generating
it's a demo. It's a demo where if there's something wrong with it, they want you to forgive them. I think that's what it is. It's a forgiving demo, rather than a proper beta. Like, they're saying it's a closed beta, but they let you in, so it can't be that. It can't be that picky.
What are you saying, Finn? You think I'm not good? I'm not good enough to be on a closed beta?
Closed unless you give us your email address, in which case you're in. It's not exactly top secret closed beta, is it?
No, I don't feel special. Okay. Well, yeah, like I said, myself and Alex would probably... I think you can invite people into it, but I think Finn might have just talked himself out of an invite. So, we'll talk about that probably next week. Something else as well that we kind of happened over the weekend is Dark Souls 3. The final DLC's due out on March the 28th, and it is called The Ringed City. So... it adds a whole new region of the game, new enemies, weapons, and armor, and it looks bloody good. But then so did Ashes of Arendelle. So hopefully it's a lot bigger than that, because that was pretty short, actually. It could have been done in 3 hours, although I couldn't do the boss, so it took a lot longer than that. Have you seen the trailer, guys? What did you think? Are you excited for it?
I've seen it.
I've not looked.
Yeah, I've seen the trailer. Yeah, the trailer was... It looks good. I mean, they showed too many. They showed. I hope there's more bosses. I don't know. They showed. I kind of feel that it was a bit spoilery, which I didn't know. I suppose I shouldn't have watched the trailer. Really, I should have just went in blind. But I wanted to because I couldn't help it.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, it does look good. And hopefully it's. I'm not sure what the size would be. I still think it's going to be smaller than Bloodborne's. But maybe the 2 DLCs.
Bloodborne, yeah, that's going to say. 2 combined might make the size of Bloodborne. Yeah, you never know. But because
the bosses look really
was just
cool.
One, wasn't it?
Area looks really cool. It's set what looks to be like after at the final bonfire. Where like the world is like upside down almost.
Yep.
And which I always thought was an absolutely incredible site and sandbox. So yeah, or skybox, would you call it?
Yeah, there was a lot of rumors that it's going to be held in Londor. Or situated, and there's still, a lot of people are still thinking, well, maybe actually, it will be, because it's, still the Ring City. It could be Londor, and also there is I think a Londor, I can't remember what it's called, a Londor kind of, the guys who at the start with all the stuff on the back, and they were trying to get out of the city. can't remember, Londor Preachers or something like that. There's one of them in the trailer as well. So there is rumours that it's meant to be that. But also, 28th of March, not too far away, and then April the 21st, the Dark Souls 3, the Fire Fades edition, Game of the Year edition. So that's if anyone fancies jumping into the Dark Souls 3, I'd say train, but it's more like a kind of gauntlet. It's 21st of April, out on PC, Xbox One, and PS4. The Fire Fades, so I assume it'll have all of them. So, okay. So, have you guys got any news to talk about, or is that kind of it? I mean, Resident Evil 7 is out now, and that's coming out to rave reviews. Of any of you any of you Resident Evil fans? Any fancy?
I was a Resident Evil fan up until Resident Evil 5 or 6. That was a massive Resident. In fact, I played all the games. I was a huge Resident Evil fan, but I didn't really like Resident Evil 7's demo. To be honest, it didn't really feel like Resident. It felt more like Outlast or Outcast, which was the one it's called.
Outlast, yeah.
Outlast. I don't know. It just didn't get that cheesy kind of dialogue, B-movie kind of zombie kind of feel, which I quite like, to be honest.
That's what you were looking for.
I was looking for the, it was just, it seems to take itself a bit too serious. Like the other games take themselves seriously, but in a way that it's quite comical in a way. So I don't know. It just didn't feel like
intended.
It's not. No, it's not. But it just gives it kind of a charm, and I think they kind of run away with it after the first game, which was unintentionally like hilarious. They kind of stuck with that and been very self-aware that it is a bit cheesy, but it also creates some fantastic. I mean, the new game did have good atmosphere, but there are horror games with good atmosphere, and it just doesn't. I know, maybe I'll have to read a review, watch a few videos, give it a go myself, but it just doesn't.
It is
feel
first person, though.
like, yeah, that might be the reason. To be honest, it might be the reason that it just doesn't look like Resident Evil.
How about yourself, Finn? Are you a survival horror fan?
I don't mind horror games. I've liked a few horror games, but as I've mostly been on Xbox, and I feel like most Resident Evil releases have been more PlayStation. I know they kind of changed after a while, maybe, but I've not played a lot of them. So I'll wait. I'll see some reviews. And I'll see if I can get a deal on it or whatever. I'll have a look at it.
Those sneaky deals. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it, really, isn't it? I don't know if you guys have got anything else you want to mention before we kind of move on to our Destiny chatter.
No.
Happy to go on to Destiny.
Fair enough. So, onto the Destiny side of things. Well, we got a This Week at Bungie last week. So, the main thing that we really took from that is that they are firstly dropping Crimson Days, and also they're doing a hell of a lot of Bungie bounties. I think they're doing with everyone you can think of. They're doing Professor Broman, Datto, Miss Team KK, Real Crafty, Chariona, Mr. Fruit, My Name is Bife, Luminosity, M-Tash, T-Rex, Gathalion, Triple Wreck, everyone you can think of. They're going all the way until February. So do you reckon that's kind of them trying to push it a bit more? Because they did say they were trying to get the kind of whole Twitch malarkey kind of pushed. We did talk about that on our previous podcast, but it does seem that that's kind of where they're forcing it now. Have you guys, firstly, have any of you guys actually come across them as of yet? And also, what do you think of the Bungie bounties? Do you actively look on the days and go out to try and find them for that elusive emblem, or?
So I've not seen anyone, and I've not really tried to find anyone. Most of the people streaming have been in the US, and the matchmaking's going to be resistant to matchmaking me against them. So I figure if it happens, it happens, but I'm not too worried about it. I think it's probably from Bungie's perspective, 50% wanting to encourage Twitch viewers because it looks good if your game's higher on the Twitch directory, and then the other 50% is they know they've got this void they have to fill between Rise of Iron coming out and whatever the next thing is. So as whoever the community manager delegates this stuff to is probably thinking, right, we just need something
yeah,
that we
just need to actually do something
Bungie, that people will talk about. Just do something, because every day they get a tweet saying you're not doing anything. Why is nothing happening? So I get it from that perspective. But it doesn't really do anything for me.
How about yourself, Al?
Yeah, to be honest, I watched one of them. I think they were doing. I think it was probably the first one when they went into Rift. But I've never actively played while they're doing it or tried to play. I don't think I would get matched up with them anyway. It only matches up with the like the ELO that's their level, I think. So I don't think I would actually get matched up with them because my ELO isn't as good as theirs. And so, yeah, so I don't think if I tried I would even be matched up. And I don't think I would really try. I mean, it's fun to watch games, and as Destiny moves more into hopefully esports, obviously it would be fun to watch these kind of things. But yeah, I'm all for more streams and things like the was it, I can't remember what they called it, but like a walk around or whatever it was of say like areas where like developer commentary
the
and
drive along,
drive, whatever they called it, and that was good, and like having developer or the artist or like whoever it was offering a new take on the area. I quite like that. Obviously, I'm all for giving us new stuff in streams. I'll always take that. But as for the Bungie bounties, yeah, I mean, I probably won't watch them because you can just watch streamers, and I don't know if it's how different it is to watching, say, a streamer do something such as either the raid or just going like an Iron Banner and just doing just playing normal PvP.
I think from what I was kind of more insinuating was, is it something that you'd actively, for example, like obviously, like Finn said, it's predominantly been in the US.
Yeah.
We have had yesterday, My Name is Bife had it, and obviously it was the last day of Iron Banner. Obviously, logically, we're in the UK. It'd be an easier time. Did you actively go out to try and do it, to look for it, or not really?
No, not really, to be honest. In fact, I didn't actually know that it was on. So yeah, no, I didn't. And I wouldn't have done anyway, to be honest. I wouldn't have. I just like to. Yeah, I mean, I suppose if I was in the mood, yeah, maybe I would jump in and say, oh, let's try, but I wouldn't like spend hours, and I wouldn't just play for the entire time hoping to match up with him. If I'd maybe play a few games and like if I didn't get matched up with him, then fair enough. I wouldn't like spend the whole like couple of hours or however long it is trying to get matched up.
I think what people will do though is they'll try and time it that they go into matchmaking at the same time as the streamer. So you get a 15-second delay on Twitch, so they'll be trying to time it so their group gets in matchmaking at the same time. So maybe the game will give them that match. It doesn't sound like fun to me. I don't collect emblems anyway, so
no, yeah, me neither.
Fair enough. I mean, okay, so that's fine. Obviously, what I mentioned beforehand as well is that Crimson Days isn't coming back. So, how fussed are you guys realistically about this?
I quite liked Crimson Days, to be honest. I quite like Crimson Doubles as something that was new and different. I mean, the whole event was probably a bit thin from a content standpoint. Obviously, it's free, I know, yeah. But yeah, compared to say what we've had recently, if they were to give us another like Crimson, just basically a new game mode to play for like a couple of weeks, it might be a bit thin compared to what we're now used to. But I quite liked the new game mode, and I think if they brought it back, I'd be quite happy. But obviously, it would need to be part of something bigger. Is what I'd hope.
How about yourself, Finn? Were you a massive fan of it last year? And
I didn't play lots of it last year. I played a bit, but I think doubles is a good game mode. When doubles is on the rotation, I think it's quite good. I think it's good practice. If there's only two of you that are in a party, then it's the ideal thing because it's just you coordinating. Whereas if you go into skirmish, you've got one random guy doing his thing.
Yeah.
And it might not be helping. So I think from that perspective, doubles can be quite good. But the actual Crimson Days stuff with, again, all shaders and ghosts and stuff that came with it, I wasn't too bothered with that stuff, to be honest. I liked doubles, but the rest of it, I could take it or leave it, really. Which is probably why they've not bothered doing it, because they would have got the feedback last year, which probably wasn't amazing, and from what I've heard people say about it, wasn't great. So it's now a bit silly if people get upset that they're not bringing it back. As long as they do something for people to, then it's fine.
But that brings me on to my next question then. What do you think is going to come? I mean, they've said basically that first things first, Crimson Days will not be making a return this year. We enjoyed adding some Gunfighter date night, but we have other plans. Instead, we're dedicating our efforts to delivering different things for you to play. Last week at Bungie, we teased that you haven't heard the last from the live team. Their next content update is taking shape. We're super excited about it, but we're not so excited we'll jump the gun. We'll spend set to talk about how we'll spend the springtime together. Now, if you Google springtime, that is March, April, and May. So that's pretty much the next 4 or 5 weeks, nothing. You know, we might get some information about the upcoming event, but essentially nothing. What do you think it's going to be? And what do you think... and when do you think it's going to be? So I'm going to go straight over to Finn for that, if that's all right.
So I would guess March or April. They did a big April update last year, so maybe April again. Might fit in with whenever they need to do stuff. What it actually is, I'm not sure. I'm pretty confident it'll come with some microtransactions to pay for whatever it is. So there'll be some boxes you can buy from whatever her name is in the tower.
Tess Everest.
Tess. You're able to swap
Good
some
old Tess.
real life silver for boxes of random junk. What they actually tie it to, I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether they'll go for something PvE based, PvP based, a bit of both. I'm not sure. If they release it at Easter, it could be egg themed. I don't know.
Al, what do you think?
Well, I'm thinking more of, say, an April kind of thing. I mean, if we're looking at April and we're looking at the events, I think they'd probably tie it to Easter, and go on some Easter egg hunt, treasure hunt kind of thing, which is what they've kind of done with, say, the Dawning, which is Christmas, and then there's Halloween. So Easter is really the logical step, which is the next kind of big holiday in the Christian calendar, anyway. So I would say Easter. As for PvE or PvP, I would probably, I don't really know, because obviously Crimson Doubles was obviously it's a PvP content. I think maybe a bit of both. I think they'll add in a new game mode, because as much as people weren't too asked about Crimson Doubles, I quite liked it. I quite liked there was something new to play in PvP in Crucible. So I think that they would introduce some kind of new game mode, some kind of like Easter game mode. I don't really know. Maybe there'll be some eggs dotted about the PvP map, and you get it to score bonus points. I don't know.
Here's an idea. Yeah. So you know how everyone complains there's no reason to replay the old raids? They could do an Easter egg hunt in Vault of Glass.
Yeah.
And everyone would have to go back in to find them.
Well, do you think the Easter eggs? The Easter eggs. Do you think the old raids are going to come back?
Well, they did that last year with the April update with what's it called? Prison of Elders. So they did the Challenge of Elders, and people have been saying bring back Vault of Glass and Crota's End. I hope people aren't saying bring back King's Fall, because don't. And in fact, we already have it. But
someone didn't like King's Fall.
No, it was okay. It wasn't too bad, to be fair. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't bring those back. But I wouldn't be surprised if they did. If that makes sense.
So I think that they will eventually do something with the old raids, but they might leave it too late. You know, Destiny 2 is about to come out or whatever, and they go, okay, now there's a reason to go and do the old raids, because they put it off for a long time. And I think it's worse for new players, because if you're a new player now, you're going to have some trouble finding people who want to do Crota or Vault of Glass or whatever. You might want to see that content, but people aren't interested. Some people are, but you know what I mean. Generally speaking, if you've only got a small group of people you play with, you might struggle to get them to hop in with you.
What would get you to jump back into Vault of Glass and Crota? Like, what kind of update would you like? Like strike scoring, like raid scoring, or like a challenge mode? What would get you?
I think I would want guns that would be useful in PvP.
So you just get some guns that are useful. Well, what guns were there in
Matador 64 found in Vault of Glass? Everyone gets one.
Now only available. Only available from killing Atheon.
On hard.
Fellwinter's Lie is now inside Atheon. Yeah. Being honest, because most of the time, almost all the time I spend on Destiny, I spend doing Crucible. So the PvE activities need to have some sort of benefit in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
The long run for me is Crucible. So that's the main thing that I want out of it. Guns.
Okay. Guns. I'd like to see the old guns brought back, actually. The Fatebringer, etc. But then that would go against pretty much everything Bungie have done so far with regards to getting rid of them. I mean, we've not seen any elemental primaries since what? Crota, realistically?
We had Zalo Supercell.
What was there any elementals in the original Prison of Elders?
I
don't think so. So here's my thing on the elemental primaries. You can bring them back, but they have to be exotic. If you want a Fatebringer with elemental,
I'd be over the moon with that. I'd be happy with that. I'm very happy with that. I did have it, but I just never really got to use it, because by the time I got it, it was gone. We were moving on.
It makes sense because having elemental damage on a primary is something special, and it should be exotic. So yeah.
Yeah. I think that would be fine then. You can bring them back, but it has to like Zalo Supercell, because Zalo Supercell is not broken. I mean, if it's the right week for the Nightfall or the Strike playlist or whatever, yeah, you can use it. But you could also use something else. It's not outrageous. So I think bring them back.
It's pretty insane when you're mowing down hordes of Thrall with his Zalo Supercell and you just don't let go of the trigger. It's pretty good. But yeah.
Yeah. But you shouldn't be able to use that and a G-Horn.
No. Yeah.
No, you wouldn't. I miss those days. Okay. So we obviously spoke earlier before with regards to Iron Banner. Before we kind of go into the main thing of our podcast, the main subject of our podcast, we want to kind of talk about Iron Banner. How did you guys find it? Obviously, we're all a bit more of fans of Clash as opposed to Rift or Supremacy. So how did you guys find it? Did you enjoy it? What was your experience with lag? Was there any, etc.? So yeah, Finn, what kind of, obviously you've mentioned you're predominantly PvP. How was it for you this time around?
So I liked it. I didn't play as much as I have done previous Iron Banners. I played enough to get to rank 5 on all my characters and do the bounties on all my characters, plus a bit more.
That's still a lot.
But that's not as much as it used to be. It doesn't take as much time as it used to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I enjoyed it. I mean, there was some lag, which there's going to be, and I make it worse for myself because I often play with people in the US or whatever, so it's going to be hard for matchmaking to give everyone a good connection. So it's a bit of lag, but overall I would say it was okay. But I've liked it. I played more defensively than normal, so a lot of Jade Rabbit, Sidearm, or No Land Beyond Shotgun or something like that. So a lot of more defensive loadouts, and because of that my KD was fairly high. I think for most people who play a lot of Crucible, I suspect that Iron Banner matchmaking is maybe a little bit easier because of the pool having more players in it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my experience anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, quite enjoyed it. It's a shame that the weapons this week weren't more interesting. So whenever I got a rocket launcher or a sidearm,
you weren't that fussed, really, were you?
I didn't really care what perks it had on it. There was
just
nothing
infusion fuel for other weapons.
Yeah, whereas by contrast, when it was Clever Dragon Week, everyone was just poring over the stats. Like, can I get it exactly how I want it? And you maybe just sit there trying to get Clever Dragons. It's nowhere near as good as that. So I think they've been quite uneven with the way they've designed the Iron Banner weapons. So there's one or two that are sort of exactly what you'd be looking for, and then with the rest of them, it's a bit trolly, really. For the hand cannon to be the high rate of fire ones, no one wants. Can you imagine if the Iron Banner hand cannon was like a palindrome or an Ias Luna? People would be going crazy for it. but it's not.
No, it's not. We're afraid. Alex, how did you find Iron Banner this week?
I found it relatively lag-free. For one, there were like a couple of games where there was just one madman teleporting all over the place. But yeah, relatively lag-free. And as for the weapons, yeah, totally agree with Finn that I basically, most of my weapons are at 400 anyway, so I was just either dismantling it or just putting it into something else, or that it's just sitting there in my inventory. Probably give it to my hunter. But yeah, I enjoy Clash. I enjoy the fact that you don't have to worry about an objective, and all you do is you stay in a group for the most part. And obviously that's kind of your strategy, really. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I was veering towards scout rifles actually for this one. I was kind of trying to keep my distance.
It's a common kind of theme occurring, isn't there?
Yeah, well, I usually...
You copied off me.
Well, no, I think I was using it first, and then you decided to...
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I usually I go with Palindrome, or I was trying Clever Dragon, and I even gave the Unbenchry a go. But actually, I settled on Collivance's Duty, which has always been one of my favourite weapons. And I was wrecking shop against snipers, and I'm not a sniper, but obviously with this the change to snipers and the sniper flinch, and I was easily getting multi kills with Collivance's Duty across map, especially on Pantheon during that in that middle area. In fact, it was me and Dicko, and I was popping one shot and he was finishing him off, or he was just getting headshots and I was missing. But but it was pretty good with the Collivance's Duty. I quite enjoyed playing it, and I even as far went to what's the one? Oh, is it Anomaly or is it Asylum with the floaty kind of...
Anomaly's got like the golf ball in the middle.
Yeah, and I even went in that with Collivance's Duty as well, which actually didn't work that well.
The floaty. We've obviously got all the terminology correctly down here.
All the call-outs.
Yeah, exactly. I'm near the floaty thing.
Floaty
I don't know what the map is, but I'm floaty thing.
My call, yeah. I just don't know what I'm next to the...
There you go, you don't call out. I think that's what we've established.
I've gone in. I've flanked. I've done a flank.
Where are you? Somewhere in the map near the floaty thing.
B.
Awesome.
Where's B?
We know exactly. We did. I actually did hear that. We were saying there were some call outs, and right. They've pushed to C. Okay, no problems. Where's C? We had that. We did have that.
That was
it's too late.
Silent,
it's too late.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's too late. Forget it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Kind of my experience with Iron Banner this week was a bit of an odd one, really. I played more Destiny than I've played in the upcoming, in the past couple of weeks, but I felt I couldn't get a good gun combo, if that makes sense. I struggled actually finding a good balance in what I actually wanted, and I ended up settling for Trespasser because I just didn't want to. I was very, very much bored of shotguns. Mm-hmm. I was so bored, and I even remember speaking to Finn and saying, I'm going in with the fusion rifle because I'm bored. I really want to try something different. Didn't work out too well, but I moved over to Trespasser. Someone, I think was it Alex, you were actually saying about Trespasser, and that gun's incredible.
The range on it is
overpowered.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, the range is obscene. The range is absolutely mental. On how, considering it's that it is a sidearm at the end of the day, but shotgun supreme. I still struggle to actually outgun a shotgun, unfortunately. So that's still a thing that happens.
Well, I think all sidearms should have that kind of region of range. I don't really feel that sidearms are. Obviously, this is what we're going to probably talk about, but I don't feel that sidearms are in their range are ideal, really, when you are up against a shotgun that can one shot you. But obviously that's our main topic.
Well, yeah, pretty much, yeah. So, as Alex kind of alluded to, without me finishing my kind of bit of what I was going to talk about. By the way, for Doctrine, I went Doctrine. because I couldn't actually kill anything else. Surprisingly enough, I struggled. I really struggled. We all went in with Jade Rabbits at one point, didn't we? And I couldn't kill anything. I getting outgunned. Maybe my accuracy is not what it was in my younger days on Destiny. So okay.
Probably just out of practice, Jay.
Well, that's it. I'm probably a bit rusty. As Alex alluded to, one of our main topics is on this week at Bungie, they basically confirmed that we will be having a big balance update. So we're quite looking forward to that. I know Finn really is. So we're going to kind of give our Fireborn Radio predictions of what's going to kind of come, what we want to change, what we think should change. So I'm going to head over to Alex, because him and Finn have been talking about this all day, about what should be expected, etc. So Alex.
Yeah, well, we thought that we'd give a rundown of several archetypes of weapons of what we want to what we would like to change and how we'd like to change them. A few archetypes that we've kind of agreed don't need changing, so we're not really going to talk about them, but just to kind of go through them quickly. So correct me if I'm wrong, or add any infin that I miss. But we kind of agreed that scout rifles are in a good place. Don't really want to change much to scout rifles. I think machine guns and rockets are fine now that the ammo nerf to machine guns and rockets I don't think really changed since the beginning. Really, they just point and shoot.
Did a bit of a nerf to grenades and horseshoes, but I think it's actually been quite fair.
Yeah, rockets are as what you'd expect: point, shoot, blow up. And I think that was it, really.
Very precise there, Alex. Just saying.
Yeah, we do have a bit of a disagreement. I think sidearms are fine.
Do you?
I think overall sidearms are fine. Yeah, for what they're supposed to do, I think they're fine.
Okay, no, fair, because we can.
And I also think fusion rifles are fine.
Fusion rifles, I forgot. They buffed them
disagree.
Recently, didn't they? And I think fusion rifles are okay.
Yeah.
It's more about your actual skill with them rather than them not being good.
Prediction, timing, all that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I suppose we can start with primary weapons, then move to specials, and then heavy. So if we start with primary weapons and hand cannons, just to pick a name out of the hat. So if you want to give some thoughts on what you think about hand cannons, how can we change them?
So I think there's a few hand cannons with certain roles that are really, really good. Mm-hmm. So all the competitive players, if you ever watch the tournament players, they all use hand cannons. It's all palindromes and ice lunars. So we can't say that hand cannons are bad. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's fair. And if you gave a buff to all hand cannons, then that particular extreme end of the spectrum, where those guns are really good, would end up being ridiculous. And I don't think you'd end up having a problem with all the other guns. But aside from the perfect hand cannons, and I'd throw in like Finala's Peril, Lord High Fixer, that rate of fire hand cannons, as long as they've got a good role as being good. The other ones are awful. So like Ill Will, Max Impact ones, First Curse, that kind of thing. It's possible to use them, and if you're a really good, accurate player, you can do well with them. But they really don't have any benefits over using a palindrome.
No.
They fire slower, and they kill in the same number of shots. So their precision time to kill is worse, their body shot time to kill is worse. They're no good. Same applies with the fast-firing ones. They don't really do anything better. So you take like Thorn, that kind of thing. I mean, Thorn's okay because it's got the dot damage, but the other ones, I can't remember the names of the other ones, but they do less. They do less damage, and it doesn't really help. So I think they could do with, like, you know how on fusion rifles they did a buff to the base stability of low stability fusion rifles. I think they need a buff to the base range of low range hand cannons. So that all the ones that have been left outside of the party because their range stats too low need some more range. And I think there's some perks that maybe they should remove from the IS Lunar rate of fire ones. Like Look in the Chamber is really, really good, but it makes it a 2-tap, and I think that's too good. I think Look in the Chamber.
Well, there is a chance. I mean, it's quite a high chance actually, but there is. It's not like it's not like it's reliable. or is it?
Yeah. All I'm thinking is that I can't see another way of balancing those hand cannons with the other ones. So with like the Ill Will or First Course, without taking away stuff like Luck in the Chamber.
Well, the problem is that there is just one hand cannon that rises above the rest, and that is the Palindrome. And one of the reasons why is that its recoil direction is pretty much vertical. And if you compare it with an IS Luna, you shoot and it veers off, I think, to the right.
Some people still prefer the Luna though. Some people still prefer the Luna, so I think that's fine. I don't think the Palindrome's head and shoulders above the rest. I just think that there's a certain rate of fire with max range, and once you've got that, then that works.
I think
there's loads of hand cannons that
the problem
they have the wrong rate of fire and they can't hit max range.
I think there's an accuracy problem with hand cannons as well, especially with the low range ones that where they have that cone thing, isn't it? The more you shoot, the larger this cone is, and the more so I think even with say the high range, high aim assist weapons, such as say the Palindrome, it is max range with like Hammerforge and whatever you have it. That still has, you do aim a shot and you are the reticle is on someone else's head and it does miss. So sometimes I think they need to find a way of balancing the weapons so they're not overpowered, but when you shoot it hits your target. So I'm not sure. I think it's more of an accuracy thing, and I know they buffed accuracy after nerfing it to oblivion, in which
I think it was just initial accuracy, so like your first shot. I think that's what they changed.
They changed. I think maybe to do it for 3 shots that it's like 100% accuracy, and then because 3 shots are to kill, really, aren't they? So you want your first 3 shots to kill, and if you get your first 3 shots, then you're a good player, I'd say. But if you start to miss and you're wildly shooting, then you should be punished. You shouldn't just wildly shoot.
Yeah, so as far as I understand it, though, the like the bloom and the inconsistency is only supposed to apply after you get outside of the effective range, which for like a Palindrome is 34 meters or so. And the idea is they're supposed to be sort of reliably accurate within 34 meters, but then at 40 meters, things start getting a bit weird. It can miss, that kind of thing. So I think that's the way.
Wasn't there a whole situation a couple of months ago with the ghost bullets? I think Triple Wreck.
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to.
That's what I thought you were referring to, because Triple Wreck was quite vocal in that, and I know that Bungie themselves said we'll look into it, but I don't remember them actually ever doing anything with that.
The problem is a visual thing, and that when you ADS with a hand cannon, you think because it zooms into a certain amount, you think that you should be able to hit that person because what you're seeing doesn't look like that far away. But it is actually further away in like meter terms. So it's like with the shotgun, that zooms very, very little, and you don't expect the bullets to hit, say, a hand cannon range. But because when you're looking at someone on the TV, because you don't have that kind of depth of vision, that it's hard to judge how far someone is away, and it looks like they are in the range for damage fall off. So I think that's another consideration, the actual visual indication.
Yeah.
But I think hand cannon, like I say, the best players all use hand cannons. So to give them a massive buff to make them perfectly accurate all the time, I just worried that would then be going back to the point of just using hand cannons. Like if it was always accurate, why not use the last word? If it was always accurate, why not use Hawk Moon? Get those 2 taps all the time. So I think if you look at it from the perspective of those exotic hand cannons, which were amazing, then I guess they're fearful of bringing back a time when that's what everyone used.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, moving on from primers
what's the next then?
Moving on to pulse rifles, which I know there's a few pulse rifles that do stand head and shoulders over others. I mean, you've got the low rate of fire, high impact scat rifles, pulse rifles, which pretty much useless, really. I wouldn't recommend using them. They're pretty much pretty much useless. Then you've got the medium rate of fire ones. So correct me if there's any in between ones. But then you've got your Nerwin's Mercy kind of ones. Then you've got your Hawksaw kind of rate of fire. Then you've got your Grasp of Malak and Clever Dragon ones, and those are the ones, the Grasp of Malak, Clever Dragon ones, that are causing a lot of trouble because they do kill in the same amount of bursts as the Nerwin's Mercy archetype. Is it Nerwin's Mercy?
Yeah.
So
it's a 3 burst kill from. I mean, so the high impact ones theoretically can 2 burst somebody, but you have to land all. I think you have to land 5 or 6 crits, and
because
they've got such big kick that then it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
like, one in a million. Like, you don't see any even really good players going around 2-shotting people with a spare change. It doesn't happen. So if all pulse rifles take 3 bursts to kill, but the Clever Dragon fires those 3 bursts the fastest,
why wouldn't you?
Then what's the downside to using it?
I think they need to not change the time to kill, but just make them harder to use. Not change the stability, but just maybe change the range. I mean, the range on the Clever Dragon isn't great, but with the right perks, you can still like cross hit someone.
Because there's not much damage fall off, really.
No.
And they're still pretty accurate. So even if your damage went down by a couple of points, all it probably does is mean that you can still kill someone in 4 bursts from really far away. And if you've got high caliber rounds and that person far away is trying to use Mida or scout rifle or whatever, that engagement should be theirs. They should win that if they hit their shots, because their positioning is correct. They have gone 85 meters away from you. They've got a sight line on you. They should win. But Clever Dragon with high caliber rounds, my money's on the Clever Dragon.
I think just thinking about it, I think the higher rate of fire should have less stability, because if you think if it's firing so fast, you think it would kind of go wildly out of control, whereas the heavier ones maybe should have a higher stability and a higher range as well. So they may have a slower time to kill, but you may be able to hit the headshots a bit more reliably. So that might be sort of like with the Saurus regime, that way back when there was a time in which you didn't even want to upgrade it because it had a higher time to kill, but actually the slower rate of fire kind of ADSing would get more reliable headshots. So you could actually get kills easier, in my opinion anyway. So
I think rather than that, I think the range is the right stat to play with. I think range on pulse rifles is quite weird anyway. Like, you can reduce the range, and if you pick a perk that reduces range, it's still basically the same.
Yeah.
Like, you might lose a couple of meters, but it doesn't actually chop that much damage off. It still hits. It's just like you don't get big ghost bullet problems or whatever. So I think they probably need to fiddle with the range a bit. So if Clever Dragon's going to be this sort of fast-firing, lightweight, high-flinch killing machine, then it should be only be able to do it up to a certain distance.
Yeah, just a bit more than auto-rifle range, I'd say.
Yeah. So I think maybe that's one.
Is that your change then? Is that what you want them to do?
Make the low rate of fire, high impact ones. I'd give them. I don't know how much. To be honest, I don't really use them, so I don't know how much range they've got. But I'd then give them a reliable range to make them, because you're not going to use them in close quarters anyway because they're so slow. So you'd want to use them at high range. So I'd want them to, I wouldn't say be able to compete with scout rifles, but I would say like closer than the scout rifle. So I don't know, maybe like the really high rate of fire scout rifles, like the DIS 47, is it, or 42? Really high rate of fire ones.
The 47, the fast one.
Yeah, 47. I would say around that range, to be honest, for the pulse rifles, for the low rate of fire ones, and make them a bit more stable.
I think they still need a bit of a stability buff. I think they still need, even if you're looking at the range, I think the bullet grouping is just too big.
Yeah.
Like, if someone's far away, you have to shoot them in the feet.
Exactly.
For the third bullet to hit them in the head, I think it's a bit too much.
Yeah, definitely give them a recoil buff.
On the Clever Dragon, I do think it's important that they do something about the combination of a Clever Dragon with high caliber rounds, because high caliber rounds makes you flinch. The more shots you land, the more flinch you cause. So high caliber rounds is better value on a Clever Dragon than it would be on a spare change or on a scout rifle. So the perk is much, much better on a fast firing pulse rifle than on the other options. And there's no real downside.
Do you reckon they'll just remove it? Or?
I thought they might do it. You know, they did a shot package where they just went, "Oh, this is too annoying. We can't fix it." They just kind of took it out.
Or just remove it from that archetype of guns.
Yeah, I think they could, because on Grasp of Malak, I don't think you can roll high caliber and a stability perk. I think because of the way it's laid out. So I think you'd have to choose between having more stability and having high caliber rounds. And most people are going to go, okay, I'll probably lean towards the stability or whatever. There's a trade-off to be made. Whereas on a Clever Dragon, you can have counterbalance, perfect balance, and high caliber rounds, and then there's no downsides to any of those perks.
Yeah,
you even get an extra 5 range from high caliber rounds, I think. So there's no downside to any of that. You know, it makes it harder to handle, I think, is the downside that it says in the perk. But
there's
it's not really evident, is it?
Plus,
because you can take your time reloading as you view the 2 dead orbs of the people you've killed. I mean, it's fine.
Yeah, and plus on the Iron Banner weapons, on the barrels or the iron sights or whatever there are, there's one that just gives it lightning speed, like lightning handling time. So just to reduce it a little bit, makes it normal.
Yeah. So I think they probably need to add another downside to high caliber rounds, or to mean that it can't roll as well as counterbalance.
Maybe take some bullets out of the magazine. So reduce magazine
that's
size.
what I was thinking. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So there's a bit more of a cost. So you can have it, but you probably don't. If you ran that with small bore or something else, you don't know, with a tiny magazine.
Yeah, probably not even enough to 3-shot.
No.
Which I would not advise to do that if that were going to do.
But again, part of that, if you compare it with the Blind Perdition, which is a really good pulse rifle, but if you can select a certain set of perks on that way, which means you've only got 18 rounds in the magazine. The Blind Perdition, it's a really good pulse rifle, but you might run it with only 18 rounds. Clever Dragon's got a much bigger base magazine, so it's got, I think, 6 extra bullets in the base magazine.
See, that's a really good thing to have with it for the blind.
You can afford to take
to miss
ammo off and still be as good as a Blind Perdition or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, so that's.
I think they definitely need to do something with them, and I think they will be addressed, because it's all you get killed by. It really is. I mean, obviously you get a couple of times. Oh, you might get this, you might get that, but it's 9 times out of 10 it's a Clever Dragon, isn't it?
Yeah, and if you're trying to snipe in 6v6 playlist and you start getting tickled by it, even if it's from a million miles away, with a normal sniper rifle, it's very difficult to land anything. So, just have to go no land beyond or nothing.
That's I'm sure that's your catchphrase. Right, Al, what's the next one?
Well, auto rifles, I think, is the final one in primary slot that we haven't talked about. So I like using auto rifles ever since the beginning. Saurus Regime was my favourite weapon back when it was the godly auto rifle, and to be honest, the most reliable auto rifles that I use are the really high impact, high rate of fire ones, like Doctrine of Passing and the Unbent Tree, because they do have a ridiculously fast time to kill with body shots. They're one of the fastest body shot time to kill in the game. In fact,
I think it's the fastest.
I think it is the fastest, yeah. Which is actually pretty good, so it makes it quite unforgiving, because a lot of the times these high rate of fire weapons, they do have a stability problem. They go all over the place unless you've got counterbalance, but even then counterbalance makes it go wildly up, basically. So that's quite decent, to be honest, to have a really high rate of really low time to kill. It's just the other auto rifles. I mean, I quite like using Zalo Supercell in PvP sometimes, but I don't know, like low rate of, no one uses low rate of fire weapons. A lot of the legendary weapons are pretty bad, to be honest. Legendary auto rifles, I can't really think of any that I would use except for Unbent Tree and Doctrine of Passing, to be honest. I mean, do you remember the what was that? Red Spectre, was it? That was like there was a glitch with the things that was supposed to be pretty good, but it wasn't. So I don't know what they need to do with it. They need to make it so they're just a bit more viable against, say, hand cannons, because that's what I think is their main competition in that range. And obviously hand cannons are just going to wipe the floor with you, because I don't think they give that much flinch, or maybe just because they're not come up against them. But I think if I was to come up against someone with a doctrine of passing, I think I'd be able to, if we were both hitting headshots, I think the hand cannon would come out top, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But you would probably know better, Finn.
What do you think, Jay? You run a lot of auto rifles.
Yeah, I really, really love auto rifles, and I've been a massive advocate of the doctrine of passing for a long time. I got an adept version my first time to the lighthouse, and I was the envy of the clan until everyone got one. So which is awesome. I definitely feel that there's an advantage to those as opposed to the slow rate of fires. I honestly thought that Saurus Regime, when it got a buff just before Rise of Iron, I thought that was going to be the meta, and I was sorely wrong. And I was gutted as well, because like I said, I like Alex said, I was a fan of it in year one, and it was overpowered, and I kind of, although it's black, I missed the white of it. But I mean, I get excited when I get is it Extremophile or this and that, and they never turn out to be any good.
Yeah.
And I feel gutted. I'm really gutted. They're not really. Is it Genesis Chain? I went into the Crucible with the Genesis Chain, which is the one from the raid, I believe.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's competitive, but you can't you
get a lot of assists.
You get a lot of assists, but you can't just outgun a Grasping Malak or a Clever Dragon, and that's all that seems to be happening. So it's just, I do think the slow rate of fire needs a hell of a lot of buff.
So I think there's two changes that would help.
Mm-hmm.
One is, like they did with the fusion rifles, increase the absolute base stability, so like the worst case scenario stability, just bump up the bottom, because at the moment you have to have stability perks. Like the number of auto rifles I've had drop, where I've looked at it and gone, interesting, not enough stability, throw it away.
Yeah.
Because it just, even if you're accurate, you're not going to hit your shots, which frustrates the hell out of me. Because if I think I'm trying really hard, I'm tracking this person, but I'm not hitting my shots, it's quite frustrating. So I think they need to just increase the bad stability. Auto rifles need to have more stability.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is that if they improved the in-air accuracy for auto rifles, I think it would fit a play style better, because I'm imagining a Titan with a Fabian strategy, charging at the enemy, jumping up and firing as they're skating in. That feels like the way you should be playing with auto rifles, because you can't really play like you can with a hand cannon, where you kind of dip in and out of cover, taking shots at people, jabbing here and there, all that kind of peeking. You can't do that with an auto rifle. You need to engage for the entire fight. So you need to expose yourself for the entire fight. So the only way to balance that out would be if there was some extra benefit, like being better in the air, like hand cannons and sidearms are. That would give them a play style. Like if you're using an auto rifle, you move forward at the enemy, kind of thing.
What do you reckon they will do? Do you reckon they will do that, or is that just what makes
probably nothing with auto rifles, because they're not getting a lot of flack over it. So
yeah, it's just kind of a bit of a nothing weapon. They're just not really that. I mean, to be honest, they do what Bungie do. Actually, to be fair, they do look at stats of what weapons are being used the most and what weapons are being used the least, and usually address the weapons that are being used the least and try and bring them up to be a bit more popular.
Do you think they do it that way around? Do you think they do it that way around, or do you think they've, on average, looked at the weapons that people have used the most?
Oh, and just kind of nerf them
primarily, and then just gone, okay, we'll bring them down a bit, and then they hope that the stuff towards the bottom of the list moves up because of that.
Moves up a bit, yeah.
But it feels like, on average, that the balances have mostly been nerfs, or the nerfs have certainly been bigger than the buffs. So they've been very hesitant to buff. We'll give it 1.6% damage buff or whatever, but that's got a 9% nerf kind of thing. It feels like it's that way around, which I totally understand. But
yeah, true. Yeah,
I don't think, I can't imagine reading patch notes that said that spare change was going to get 20 base stability added on. That I can't even think of an auto rifle.
Extremophile,
Arminius D or whatever was going to get this massive stability buff or whatever, or an improvement to their crit modifier or whatever. it just doesn't seem like it's coming. You know, there might be a 1% tweak here or there that maybe makes a difference every 20 fights to your time to kill kind of thing. But I don't expect big buffs to those guns. I'm willing to be surprised, but I don't expect it.
I'd like to see auto rifles become the new meta in inverted commas, just because they're just underused. They always do. I mean, there was a time when pulse rifles really reigned supreme, and they were like I used No One's Mercy to the death basically of the No One's Mercy when they nerfed it, and now they're kind of creeping back, the pulse rifles, or the high rate of fire ones. But auto rifles have been left behind, so I'd like to see or auto rifles being brought to the front. So I'd like to see its stability increase. I'd like to see, across the board really, stability increase.
Yeah, I think buffing stability would be better than buffing the time to kill.
Yeah.
I think that would be better to make them feel better and feel more accurate rather than making the time to kill really fast.
There's nothing more infuriating than trying to shoot an enemy that's kind of running away around the corner, and he seems like you're shooting him for ages, then he just gets around the corner, he's still got about a quarter of health left, and you think, oh right, and then someone else kills him when you get an assist. So I think maybe, I don't know if the time to kill is longer than any other weapon, but it just seems like it. Even with the high rate of fire ones, it just seems like if you're shooting someone that is running away, they are getting away if you're using an auto rifle.
But there has to be a balance, because they're a lot more forgiving. If you miss a shot with your auto rifle, it's a lot easier to recover and win that fight than if you miss a shot with a hand cannon. Yeah. So there needs to be some balance to it, which is why when what was Doctrine of Passing was like 0.8 seconds body shot time to kill or something, when it was
it was ridiculous.
Wrecking
and it
shot.
Had persistence.
It was good.
As well.
Yeah, which is the precision time to kill of a Jade Rabbit, but you can just run at someone, firing at their body, and get the same effect. I think that was too good, because, and I don't mean to sound mean, it takes less accuracy to get that kill with the Doctrine of Passing than it would do to get 2 or 3 headshots with a hand cannon or a scout rifle or whatever. Generally.
Yeah, they were right to nerf that, I think. I'm not saying that I want to see that kind of auto rifle. I just want a bit more variety. So I want to use those high rate of fire. I want to use Saurus Regime again. But yeah. So I think that's primary. So specials. We'll just go straight into it. Shotguns. And I know obviously there's a lot of strong
Jump into
words
the deep end. Jump into the
shotguns.
deep end straight away.
Especially a certain shotgun. An even Matador. I'll just go straight to you, Finn.
So I think with shotguns, we've kind of ended up in a dangerous place of them being much better than the other options. But there's quite a lot of pieces to the puzzle that have meant that it's that way. So they made quite a few nerfs to shotguns, actually. So they're nowhere near as good as they used to be. Like a Fell Winter's Lie with shot package, range finder, rifle, barrel, and aggressive ballistics was way better than the Matador is now.
Oh yeah.
Like in terms of range, when you could get shot package, shotguns were a lot better. But I feel like people were less angry about it because there was other good options, like sniper rifles were really snappy and people could pull off ridiculous trick shots and everything with them. And I suppose the other thing is, well, there was a lot of really good grenades that would be devastating if you ran around like a shotgun warrior.
Mm-hmm.
And you were playing against a Sunsinger with fireball grenades. It didn't really matter that you had a shotgun, because the fireball grenade would destroy you, and then they'd just tap you in the head with Thorn or whatever, and that was it. So I think there's quite a lot of pieces, like smoke bombs got nerfed for Night Stalkers, trip mines got nerfed for gunslingers. There's a lot of stuff which used to punish you for running around like an ape, where you don't get punished anymore. And then on Matador, I think it's weird that the highest impact shotguns also have the highest range,
mm-hmm.
and they don't have a really big spread or anything to balance it out. So You never see anyone using, never mind complaining about, Invective, Fourth Horseman, Patch A, or any other lower impact shotgun, because no one uses them. Because it's really easy to get a Matador, Party Crasher, Last Ditch, Conspiracy Theory D. But those shotguns are actually fine. Like, their one hit kill range is maybe 5 meters, 4 meters, possibly 6 meters if you've got a good roll. But most people are okay with that. You know, if you rush around a corner and someone's got a shotgun out and you charged into them, yeah, they probably can shoot you in the chest and kill you. Fine, understand that, no problem. But there's no reason to use those guns because Matador's got everything. It's got all the impact, it's got all the range. You can one hit kill someone from 10 meters away if you manage to get the pellets on target. So I think they don't need to nerf all shotguns. I think that would be a mistake. I think that would really upset people in the long run, because you'd go back to there being no variety because it wouldn't be worth using them. It's just reducing the range stat for the high impact ones so that they have a similar one hit kill distance to the or only a bit better than the low impact ones. So it just feels like more of a scale where the low impact ones might be useful.
Yeah, I agree.
So I don't know which stats to play with. I think it's probably a combination of range and spread. There's a spread modifier for shotguns that shot package used to buff. It's probably a combination of those two.
Well, what I think, I mean, yeah, similar to what you said. I mean, I've had two kind of thoughts. One's quite drastic, but one of my thoughts was that that range should be tied directly to impact, kind of like rate of fire is tied to impact. So I'd say the higher the range, the lower the impact, which would kind of balance it out. The other thing that I thought would, which is probably not going to happen, but I just thought it would be interesting anyway, because if you've got, I mean, like we played with, who is it that we played with that's really good, that uses, we spoke about it, a Dark Ray, I can't remember. Darkar. And he used, when we played against him, and he used No Land Beyond and Matador, and everything was a one shot. Now, what I think would be good is if special weapons were 2 shots. So sniper rifles were 2 shot to the head, 3 shot to the body, or 1 shot to the head and 1 shot to the body, and shotguns were 2 shot as well. And that doesn't mean that I mean, obviously it means they're less effective, but it brings the primaries back up. So, you know, you can't just run around with a shotgun and a sniper like a lot of people do, and just reign supreme, because shotguns, yeah, obviously you have to get into position, but they are a hell of a lot easier to use than snipers. So, and it's unfair to give shotguns 2 shots and 1 shot to the snipers. That's just the reason why I balanced that out. But I think if special weapons were 2 shots, it would just mean that primaries have more of a role, because it's just too easy for players to one shot you from pretty much any distance now.
I think that sounds pretty extreme.
It is pretty extreme, considering that for the past 2 years, 3 years, it has been 1 shot. But I think a
headshot with a sniper rifle, that's like a contract between gamers and game developers.
That should always be a one-hit kill.
If you shoot someone in the head with a sniper rifle,
they are dead. They are dead.
We'll just make the snipers
it's
easy.
A scout rifle.
But if you make this, I mean, the scout rifles kill in 4 shots really, unless it's the really high impact ones like Jade Rabbit, Call of Duty, which is 3. So I say make the snipers easier to use, like reduce the flinch, make them a bit more stable.
Give them more aim assist.
Give them a bit more aim assist. Make them just a bit more fun to use. I mean, I know in an esports world they want to make these kind of weapons hard to use because it makes it a bit more skilled. The high level, the high skilled players will be able to take more advantage. It's more competitive, but just open them up to everyone to play. Because I've never been able to. I mean, sometimes I use a sniper and I do reasonably well, but I've just never been a sniper. I find shotguns way more easy to use because I think they are easier to use, but now it's probably even harder to learn how to use a sniper. So I say make them easier, make them a 2 shot, make them harder to use, just harder to use than scout rifles, but give them a 2 shot just to make it.
So, but here's the other thing with the way of doing it, where it's 2 shots, is that you take your shotguns being 2-shot.
Mm-hmm.
I could probably melee you before you could fire your second shot with Matador. If it was a 2-shot and you had to get him fairly close, I could probably punch you twice and kill you without using any ammo or cooldowns or whatever. So I think there needs to be a distance where a shotgun's 1-shot kill. And that's another thing which gamers expect from a game. They expect that if you shoot someone in the head with a sniper rifle, congratulations.
Then you'd use the high rate of fire shotguns what's the really high rate, the arc one, the
Fourth Horseman.
Fourth Horseman would be insane. And I don't know, yeah, just give. I think that would be pretty cool. It would make sure that it would ensure that there's more variety, because no longer Matador would not be needed as much, because it's got such a slow rate of fire that it would take so long for you to fire your second shot off. You're probably right, you probably could melee me twice, but if I was using another shotgun, I can't think of any others that are high rate of fire because I don't use them except for Invective and Fourth Horseman. Why would you use Fourth Horseman in PvP? I mean, you wouldn't use it in PvP. It's more of a PvE weapon for just dealing massive amounts of damage. So I think if you were to make it a 2-shot burst kill, I think it would be. I actually think it would be better, because there's a lot of games where actually, we played Division, and that I was kind of moaning that the time when you're shooting headshots and they don't kill in one hit, they kill in a couple of hits. And I thought, that's rubbish. But actually, if you're thinking about it, in the Crucible, if it was 2-shot kill, that would, one, make primary weapons more viable, and it would just mean people aren't running around with shotguns. And I don't know. I think
they wouldn't be very special.
They wouldn't make them Well, no, because you can still.
You just use a primary for everything.
But you could still shotgun and melee. You could still shot, but obviously it just means that the time to kill is high. You can't.
No, I think if someone shotguns you point blank, then it has to be a kill. If they've got right in and they've shotguns you point blank, it has to be a kill. If someone shoots you in the head with a sniper rifle, unless you've got some magic space overshield, like from being rezzed or whatever, I think that has to be.
See, I've got no problem with that. I think it's purely when it's the range that I'm getting. I'm shooting someone with a sidearm and I'm getting 1-shot kill by a Matador from 6 foot away.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Maybe a bit more.
That's more. You can get to. It's about 10 meters. Is about the max.
Do you think all shotguns should be Fourth Horseman range? Because the Fourth Horseman's range is literally tickling.
So I think if we did it by spread, I think if spread was the main stat you used, so if you pick a high impact shotgun, then it has a really wide cone of damage.
Mm-hmm.
So it actually outputs more damage. If 2 people were standing next to each other, you would hurt both of them. It's a really wide spread. And then the lower impact ones have a tighter pellet spread, so they more you aim for one guy, like an actual shotgun.
Yeah.
Would fire longer than a computer game shotgun. So your Matador 64s are sawn off for robbing a bank, and a Patch A is like a hunting shotgun that you would shoot down a bird with. I think that maybe could work, because you need more precision with the lower impact one.
Mm-hmm.
Universal Remote, you play that, maybe you go for the headshot kind of thing, 'cause it's a bit more accurate. But then with Matador, if you want it to be a 1-shot kill, you've got to get right up in them. But once you get close, then yeah, fair enough. 4 meters away.
Well, look at the
3-4 meters away.
The what was that exhaust that you just mentioned? It fires 1 slug.
Universal
Remote.
No.
Chaperone.
Sorry, you didn't mention
Didn't mention
it. I was just thinking about it when you said it. But Chaperone's a 2-shot kill. And it's a shotgun unless you hit the headshot.
That rewards you for precision.
What if shotguns were 2 body shot, 1 headshot?
Just so everything's like the Chaperone. Just replace everything.
Yeah, and then obviously it would make the Chaperone less special, but the Chaperone is good because it's got really high range. But make shotguns 2 shot to the body, because it's too easy to just go and slide and just aim it at the torso and then the down. make it so you have to hit the headshot, because you can hit crit shots with shotguns. Just make the crit shot do a bit of extra damage, and then that ensures that it'll always kill them in one shot, because sometimes it doesn't, because if your other bullets don't hit. But make sure, if it was crit shot, like sniper rifles, like one crit shot kills them and 2 body shots kills them.
Unless you get your change to sniper rifles, in which case it's 2 headshots.
Yeah, I'll give the sniper, because sniper is a high skill and I can't do it, and when I hit a headshot, it's mostly luck. So I do want them to go down in one. But with shotguns, it's just, I find it really easy to go around slide shotgunning and rack up loads of kills, and I just feel like I'm just almost cheating. So if it was a 2-shot kill to the body shot and 1-shot headshot, I think that's fair, to be honest.
But I think the range would make a big difference, because an extra few meters range, so let's say an extra 3 meters or whatever, it gives you chance to fire another shot. If you've got a sidearm out, it gives you a bit more space to try and deal with them. Mm-hmm. Maybe you've got a bit of space to throw a grenade, you've got a bit of space to get an extra couple of shots off, or throw a throwing knife or whatever. But I think at the moment there's situations where your positioning, even if it was okay, would get you killed by a shotgun if you've not got one to fight back with. And generally speaking, you could argue that every time you get killed by a shotgun, you failed in your positioning, because if you were standing in an open field somewhere on the map, then they couldn't have got to you. But there needs to be more places where you can deal with someone running around that corner with a shotgun.
Sure.
And I think changing the range and the spread and stuff would just give you a bit more space. So if they kill you, you think, oh, I missed 2 shots there, that's why I'm dead. Yeah. Rather than Juggernaut shield, impossible.
But hasn't that been the problem since day one? Every balance patch has always pretty much revolved around shotguns, because they just can't get it right.
But there was a point in time when, let's say, firebolts were amazing, and if you knew someone was going to run around the corner, you can see it on the radar. You throw the firebolt forward, you get out your exotic hand cannon, and all you've got to do is body shot them, or body shot them twice, or whatever. 1 shot with Thorn. Like, it was easier to deal with stuff like that when the exotic hand cannons were ridiculously powerful, when there was super powerful pulse rifles and stuff. It was easier to deal with those people charging you, and also when snipers were a bit better, then people who were amazing snipers would just pick people off left, right, and centre. Snappy little quick scopes and all those tricks.
Final round.
Or final round.
Yeah, you'd hear 2 shots go and you were like, oh shit. Oh shit. Next shot is a 1-hit kill regardless of the way. Yeah. Okay, are you guys done with shotguns, or
yeah? We mentioned.
Do you think they are going to do that? Are they going to nerf the range and spread, or are they just going to buff certain types of shotguns? Or
I think they'll fiddle with the range on the high impact ones. I think that's what they'll do, and possibly the spread. That's what I would do, and I think it's something that's within the toolkit to change. So I think they can go like 30% nerf to spread on Matador, -10 range or something, whatever. And if you do a bit of play testing and find out that reduces the 1-hit kill range, they'll probably just stick that in a patch.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we should move on to sidearms. I think sidearms need to be buffed a little bit. I mean, I'm probably not going to talk about it at much length, but I think the actual legendary sidearms need to be buffed a little bit to the range. Otherwise, I think they're okay, to be honest. Trespasser is incredible. It has got ridiculous range. But yeah, that's all I do to sidearms.
In the last weapon balance, they
got a buff, yeah.
They gave a buff
I
to
don't think
sidearms.
it's going to happen again.
I have used them a fair bit, and if you play to it, they're really strong. So if you were playing with, say, a Jade Rabbit, you were always looking to make as much space between you and your enemy as possible.
Yeah.
It's a great thing to be able to swap to a sidearm if someone's charging you with a shotgun. I would say it's also the best way of dealing with, if you've got a Jug Titan coming at you and the shield's up. If you've got, say, 12 bullets in your Wormwood magazine, that is enough to remove the shield and kill them As long as you start firing early enough and they're far enough away, you can do it. And that for me is the main test as to whether they're working.
Okay.
Plus they're good. Plus you can use them in the air, like if you jump up around a doorway and stuff, you can still use them and hit the target. So I think they're fine. I think they get outshone by shotguns, but if you brought the Matador down a little bit, I think the sidearms would have a bit more space to shine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would with that.
Yeah, and that's a good point actually. They were just buffed, so yeah, probably wouldn't be buffed that much more. Sniper rifles were heavily nerfed recently with the flinch and everything else. So I don't know, what would you change? Because I'm not really a sniper, to be fair. You two probably snipe more than I do. So
I think the flinch is too much. I don't know whether it's because of the Clever Dragon high caliber rounds being everywhere, but the flinch is a bit over the top. I think it was fine before. I don't think it needed changing. I think it was a response to pressure from people who didn't like getting sniped while they were firing at someone. Like, it is frustrating if you're dumping shots into somebody and they just switch you off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you might have gotten down to one shot and then you're dead. I get that that's frustrating, but I feel like it's too much flinch. And combine that with the also damaged the aim down sight speed and the handling and that kind of thing, I feel like it was a bit too much. But again, if you look at everything as a whole, if you did something about kind of high caliber round Clever Dragon super flinch guns, if they were less effective at doing that job, and if shotguns were a bit less effective at their job, then sniper rifles might be fine again. People might be more comfortable using them in 6v6.
Yeah, well, I'd like to learn how to use them. I'd like to get better at sniper rifles, because I think if you are a really, really good sniper, I think that puts you ahead of, say, if you were a really good shotgunner, because you can put that distance between you and the other player, and you're relatively kind of free to snipe, because if you have to get in close, it's kind of high risk, high reward. But for a sniper rifle, unless you're kind of going in a sniper battle, which I usually don't do, because I usually come out not on top, but at least when you're sniping, you're kind of relatively safe if you're aware of your surroundings, so you don't get flanked. So I think I'd like to get better at sniping, and I'd like Bungie to make it easier for me to get into sniping.
And how do you think they should do that then?
Well, I think they should, as Finn was saying, I think they should reduce the flinch. I think maybe make them a bit more stable. Maybe make a bit more aim assist. I don't really know. I mean, sniping.
I don't think they need to do that much. They're not awful now. People do use them.
They need to do that for me to use them.
I think the flinch is frustrating. On stability, you can get stability perks on them. You can choose to use perfect balance or whatever. Especially because you play Warlock, so you can just use your Ophidian aspects to get quick draw.
Yeah, true.
And if you picked a high stability sniper rifle, that'd be fine. So I don't think that's the problem. I think aim assists, probably people make a bit too much fuss about aim assist. Like it's auto aim. It's actually going to do it for you. Aim assist is mainly useful if you drag scope.
Mm-hmm.
I think that seems to be the main thing that it's useful for, is if you can quickly scope in, draw your crosshairs across someone's head and pull the trigger. You want as much aim assist as possible for doing that. But for most people, with the way they snipe, like normal sniping, it's fine.
I think my problem with sniping is my map awareness and map knowledge of where to snipe from, the sniping lanes. So
head glitches and that kind of
head glitches, and like there's maybe one or the push 2 maps where I actually know where to snipe from, but a lot of the times I just kind of pop out and get sniped because I have no idea where I'm sniped from or where I should really be looking. So I think that probably more map awareness.
But that's all to do with yourself. Then.
Yeah, that's all to do with myself. Yeah, do,
but
no, yeah, that's all self.
Yeah. Dear Cosmo, please buff my map awareness.
Yeah, Deej, why have you not helped me become a sniping god?
Please
hate
buff.
you. Yeah. Please retire.
Please nerf sniper lanes.
Please remove all sniper lanes.
Or nerf sniper lanes.
Please remove all.
Just screens blocking them up.
Yeah. Just put a big boulder in between, so I can just.
Alex doesn't ask for much, does he? At all.
We said that fusion rifles were okay. If you're skilled with a fusion rifle, there's a lot of people. There are a lot of times that I get killed by fusion rifles, and I try and use them. I used to be quite good with them, but I just haven't, probably out of practice with them.
I think they're high risk, high reward.
High risk, high reward. Yeah, exactly.
So there's a lot of the skill set is to do with planning. Yeah, there's a lot of get your spaces right, predict using the radar, that kind of thing.
You just can't be really.
I think they're fine now.
You just can't be really competitive because of the whole. I find you can't really be competitive because of the whole shotgun debate, though. I mean, I went in with an Evernova, and I was determined not to play with a shotgun, and I ended up reverting back to it because, I would, I understand that, yes, a lot of it's pre-planning. I'd hear someone coming around the corner, I'd charge, I would, by the time I release my trigger and I've been charging for a little bit,
you've got
I'm
one
dead.
Bolt off.
I'm dead.
One bolt off and you're dead.
Exactly.
So I think if you use it effectively, the Plan C is probably the best fusion rifle in the game because I play quite reactively, so that's what probably makes me. I have to really think when I'm using a fusion rifle. I have to really plan my engagements. Whereas if I'm using a shotgun, I'm usually working from muscle memory. I'm usually kind of just doing it really. Whereas
I think there's a big reliability part of it though. So shotguns now are incredibly reliable. Occasionally you get the weird thing where you feel like you shotgunned someone and it didn't happen. I think that's connections probably rather than shotguns. So fusion rifles, not quite the same story. Like occasionally you can hit someone with a fusion rifle from 50 meters away and kill someone.
Mm-hmm.
I did yesterday in a private match. I killed someone from absolutely miles away. It was on I can't remember the map. Anyway, I was really far away and I thought I'll have a go. Probably won't work. Killed him in one. Max armor Titan killed from 40 meters away or whatever, which is great. But then you'll get other times where someone's charging you in a straight line and they are 10 meters away and you're aiming at their groin and it looks like you've hit all your charges from the fusion rifle, but they're not dead. And then you're definitely dead because the shotgun's there.
Exactly.
And there's no explanation you can give as to why you missed, other than fusion rifles. but overall, I think it works.
Overall, yeah. And then I suppose that goes on to the heavies, and there's just I think heavies are in a good position. There's just rockets and machine guns out there, and then obviously you've got the what's it called, the fusion
swords. You got the
swords.
As well.
Swords are okay. Sleeper Simulant, that's it. Sleeper Simulant is fine. And
I feel like they've fixed the problem that existed at one point, which was that if you lost the heavy battle, that you would then just get killed by.
It was more of an ammo kind of thing, yeah.
It doesn't happen very often anymore. It can happen, but it doesn't happen very often anymore. Occasionally, you still get that guy who, at the end of the game, is running around with machine gun on. But it's very rare, and usually he's not been using it. Like usually, there's a reason why he's still got it left. He's not on a 25 kill spree with it.
Yeah, well, swords. I don't think I would change anything with swords. I mean, I don't really use swords in PvP. Just purely because if I see someone, I just shotgun him. If he's got a sword, usually goes down before he can get me, unless he's hiding around a corner.
Or it's a trade or something. You know?
Or it's a trade.
You're part of the problem. You're part of the problem, Alex.
If you can't beat him, join him. But I think that's it, really. Unless you have anything further to add to the to what.
So I think the other thing that might help with a bit of shotgun balancing would maybe be some of the grenades. Which there's some grenades that theoretically could be good at dealing with shotgunners, but actually aren't. So on a gunslinger, swarm grenades, even though they buffed them, still useless. But that should be the perfect anti-shotgunner grenade. It creates that sort of swarm of red stuff in a doorway.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't be able to run through that and survive, but it's fine. Just walk through it. It's all right. So that I think they could probably just remove that, give them a fusion grenade.
Yeah, I think the best grenade to deal with shotgun. I mean, you end up trading, but is the fusion grenade or sticky grenade with any other class?
Yeah, and that trade's fine. If you've got a sticky grenade, I'd take that trade most of the time. I'd swap a grenade. I've not used any special ammo. The grenade will be back in a minute.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that. That's all right. So I think maybe swap Swarm for Fusion. Sticky grenades are also frustrating to play against, but at least it gives you a counter. So the trip mine grenades probably buff the damage, but don't let them stick. So you know how they used to do slightly more damage, like 6 more damage than they do now or something. I think if they returned it to that point with the damage, so that it punished medium armor people that went straight through a trip mine grenade, it'd be a bit more useful for choking things off and getting charged with a shotgun.
Yeah.
That would be all right. Then maybe just have a look at some of the ones like vortex grenades. I feel like if you put a vortex grenade in the way, it should probably do a bit more damage if someone's shotgunning you. That kind
what
of thing.
What if there was
maybe
a grenade that nerfs your damage output? So like a vortex, while you're in the vortex grenade, you do less damage. Like kind of like an anti-bubble, anti-weapons of light.
Yeah, or the opposite of.
Or I suppose it gives you armor.
The Sunsinger Viking Funeral increases the damage you take, doesn't it? So you can have the opposite of that, to a small decrease in the damage you do.
I think that would be a bit more. I think that would be more useful than what Viking Funeral already does in PvP anyway. Because in PvE it's actually quite useful, but I don't know how they wouldn't be able to do that. But yeah, some kind of. So I think that would be. I think I would use that. Something that's a bit more strategic. Yeah. Jay?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I've not played much Destiny recently, and I struggled with every gun under the sun when I was playing Iron Banner. I just think the main thing for me has always been shotguns, and I understand that if you're close up, if you get a shotgun to the chest or the stomach or the head, you should be dead without a doubt. Just like the unwritten rule is, sniper shot to the head, you're dead. That is the unwritten law of gaming. I'm fine with that. To me, it is just purely the Matador, and I know you get it by playing PvP. I've not had one drop in year 3 or year 2 actually even, if I have had one, it's been such a bad roll that it's been dismantled straight away. But they just need. What Finn said pretty much, hits the nail on the head. They need to really look at the range and maybe the spread of it. But is it going to be perfect after this? No. Are we going to still have problems and complain about this in a year's time? We'll have to see in Destiny 2, but probably. But I mean, the one thing I was going to ask you guys is, usually there's a big surprise in these balance updates. It's usually to an exotic we love. Do you remember the good old days of the Galahorn pre-nerf? That was an absolute tank, and it's never really recovered. What do you think is going to be the big shock exotic nerf, buff, or just in general? What do you reckon's going to be the biggest surprise for us when it comes patch day?
I don't really know, to be honest. I can't really think of any exotic that's really, really overpowered or really underpowered. I mean, there seems to be that the archetype in the legendaries have been reigning supreme recently, like Clever Dragon, Matador, etc. I mean, Thunderlord, I use Thunderlord, which is really good, but I wouldn't say it's overpowered. I mean, it is overpowered because it's a machine gun, but so I think, auto rifles I feel need a bit of a buff, so maybe Monte Carlo, Hard Light. I don't really see. I think exotic seems to be in a good place. Maybe give what's the pulse rifle that also fires and gives you
bad juju.
Bad juju. I'd maybe give a little buff to bad juju to increase its stability, because its stability is not great, or its range.
It just needs a bit of stability buff. I think that's juju.
Yeah. Other than that,
how about you, Finn? What do you think is going to be?
What do I predict in terms of exotics? I think the philosophy's been that they don't want any exotics that people can complain about.
Yeah.
So they've kind of gently rebalanced and nerfed things to the point where they're okay. But as you say, most people they'd rather have a perfectly rolled legendary than an exotic. Which, if I was saying what I would like from the game, I think the exotics should be the best example of what they are.
Yeah.
Because it takes up your exotic slot. So having Hawkmoon have no range and loads of ghost bullets and be really unreliable means that it's it's pointless. Like all the look in the chamber stuff and everything is pointless because
get on something else.
It's not the best example of that kind of gun. So I would like for that to be how exotics work, but that would take completely reorganizing them now.
Well, that would mean that everyone would just use that exotic.
They'd have to just buff. Yeah, but you make the choice, don't you? That if you want to use, if all the exotics were the best version of themselves, then you would be choosing to use that. If you wanted to use an exotic shotgun because you really like shotguns, the exotic shotgun should be the best example of a shotgun. So that means you give up on your exotic primary because you want to use the best example of a shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to use the best heavy weapon, like Thunderlord's the best machine gun, say, then fine, but you've got to give up the other two. That's what's supposed to be exotic about them. In that you can only have
recently, going into Iron Banner, I didn't have any apart from Trespasser. That's just because I was determined not to use my last ditch. I didn't have any exotic that I really was. I used. I looked at. I took a couple out. I had Mida. I didn't really enjoy my time with Mida. I know nothing's been changed.
What about
Mida? But Mida, I had a bit more luck with Mida.
Stronger gun.
Stronger gun than a Mida, but you're picking. You're just an arse.
Because for me, if I could use bad juju again, which for ages
Soros regime, Zurich regime, Monte Carlo, all those, but
if bad juju
you guys
felt like a hawk saw, I would use it every day.
Yeah, and exactly. I think Thunderlord is the best example of what you say, because I think Thunderlord is the perfect machine gun in that it's super accurate, and it gets more accurate the more you fire, and it gets faster the more you fire. It's got great ammo capacity. It's got field scout. It does a little curse thrall explosion like a lot of the time. It is the best possible machine gun that you could hope for. It's got good range, good accuracy. It's a good stability. It is the best example, in my opinion, of a machine gun. It doesn't have like the crazy things that like super good advice can do, or what's the new one that like you have to burst fire.
Nemesis Star.
Nemesis Star doesn't have those kind of crazy perks, but as an out and out machine gun, I think it is the perfect one.
Have you tried the just very slightly off topic? Have you tried the Abaddon or the Nova Mortis yet? Either of you?
I haven't. But
I've got the quest. I need to finish doing a strike or something to get it.
Yeah, I need to do one, and I've got the Abaddon, but the Nova Mortis was quite good. Did quite enjoy that. It's quite a good gun.
Just a void version. It's the same weapon. It's just void, really.
Yeah, but it's nice enjoying it. So
yeah.
I completely agree with what Finn said. But no exotic at present feels. A majority of the time, I have, I do have Thunderlord in, or I have Galahorn. That's purely because, point of anything else. Like, if I want the best gun first primary, I usually go for my Clever Dragon, or I go for my Doctrine. If you go for your, you don't go for Invective. I know some people do, and I have been killed by it. But it's mainly, your last ditches and etc. etc. So yeah, for me, I feel like, I should have an exotic here. So you know what? I'll put my thingy on. I'll put my Galahorn on, even though it's not actually that much better. So I don't know. I think they could definitely do with doing something like that and working with that and making the exotics feel exotic again. Because I know we don't want to go back to year one Thorn, but Thorn is dreadful at the moment.
The stuff that was too good about Thorn wasn't really to do with its range, though. Although that was really good, because other hand cannons had good range. It was that the dot damage was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So you could do 3 body shots and the dot would finish them off. That was too strong.
Yeah, and now I think
headshots, 3 body shots.
It's pretty poor now, isn't it? I believe I've not used it myself, but it's not great, I believe. So, and even Mark, who is the biggest Thorn fan out there, Skid, he can't even defend it at the present. He's good in PvE, he says, but no, it's pretty bad elsewhere. So, is that all of it for the weapon, the big weapon update pre-guessing kind of thing we're doing? Is that all? Are we all done? Finn, have you got anything else you want to add just before we kind of finish up? Or you?
I think I've complained enough.
I've got what there's been another announcement. There's 3 more games coming to Switch on launch day.
How long's this podcast been? There's 3 more games been announced.
I know,
exactly.
But they're just 3 indie games, and they won't really dwell on it because it's gone long enough. But do you remember World of Goo? On the original Wii, they're bringing that. And there's the company Tomorrow Corporation. So there's 3 games: World of Goo, Little Inferno, and the Human Resource Machine. And World of Goo is actually one of my favourite puzzle games of all time. It's really, really, really good. But I've already played it. But yeah, I just wanted to say that. So there's 10 games now.
No big hitters, essentially.
There's still no big hitters except for Zelda, I suppose.
Not except for Zelda. So.
But I mean, if you do get a Switch and you haven't played any of those games, you've actually got some good games to play. I would definitely recommend World of Goo. It is a really, really well made, innovative, fun game. Really good.
Okay.
It's not too late for them to announce Half-Life 3 as a launch title for the Switch exclusive.
Yeah.
Not too late.
Or maybe not. Okay, well, we'll keep you updated on any developments on the Switch, because that seems like Alex's thing at the moment. So I think we're done for episode 29. I think that's. I think we've all complained enough about shotguns. I don't know if we got that point across, but I think we're all done. So I think all we've got left to do is kind of the boring admin stuff. So just want to thank you guys again for joining me. Thank you everyone out there for listening, and I don't know if Raf will be back next week. Is Raf back next week? And he doesn't like being on too often because it sets the balance and the equilibrium of the world. So, yeah. But Finn, thank you very, very much for coming on again this week and being a part of the Fireborn Radio podcast family, along with...
Thanks for having me.
No. You're more than welcome to come on any time and talk about shotguns, because we all hate them. Right. So where's the best place to listen to us? Well, the best place to listen to us is on iTunes. We release every Thursday. I'd say evening sometimes, morning sometimes. We release Thursday, so that's a guarantee. The best place to find us is definitely on iTunes. So if you go to iTunes and you type in Fireborn Radio, you'll be able to find us. We are looking actually at getting a new logo that is being designed by one of our good friends of the podcast, Ginger Matt. You guys might have noticed on our Twitter, a nice little segue there. On our Twitter, we have a new header. It's a Seaver-infested header, and we're going to be updating everything. So massive thank you to Ginger Matt for doing all that. It's been awesome working with him, and I think he's sick of Warlocks now as well. So I think he's looking at moving that on to the... I think he gave you the option, didn't he? So... I think you've got a little fan there. So yeah, no, thank you to Ginger Matt. But yeah, the best place to find us is in iTunes, or you can catch us on our Twitter account, which is @Fireborn Radio. We release also on Podbean, so if you go to firebornradio.podbean.com, you'll be able to listen to us every Thursday. We each have our personal or work, depending on how you look at it, Twitter accounts. So mine's @JT6688. Alex, what's yours?
Mine, before actually I say that, just to let you know that I'm planning on releasing on YouTube as well. I've taken some footage from the PS4 capture, so I'm going to attempt to do this week's episode. Tried to do last week's, but time wasn't permitting. So I'm going to, if you don't know our YouTube channel, it's just Fireborn Radio. So nice, log on there, and hopefully it will be simultaneously released on Thursday. So it'll just have some footage there. So if you fancy watching me play badly, you can do. But my Twitter is @FBR_Alex.
And Finn, do you want to let us know about some delicious pizza that you cook on a weekly basis?
Yeah, so I have a street food business serving wood-fired pizza and a load of other things, and I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at @SherwoodFired. So if you want to see some food pictures, then go for it.
I highly recommend it, because every time... Well, actually, it depends, actually. Because every time I look at your Facebook or your Twitter, I'm always like, I want me some pizza. And it's usually at the most inconvenient time when I can't get me some pizza. So... look at your own risk. But gentlemen, thank you again for joining me, and I'm looking actually forward to seeing the YouTube. I will be watching. I don't think it'll be much of me, because I don't think I've been on recently, but I'm looking forward to that. So guys, thank you again for joining me. Everyone out there, thank you for listening, and we'll catch you all next week. Take care, Guardians.
Oh, I just snapped him out of his self.
There we go.
I'm saving that.